So in this video, I'm trying to explain something so that people understand it. I'm not sure if this is going to come through, but I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, so what you're looking at is a validation report for the Microsoft 10K. This is for their 2017 10K filing, which I've been doing an extensive amount of testing on. So this is a report created by Experial Cloud. And what it does is it tests every disclosure to see whether or not it is consistent with expectation and whether it exists, if it's supposed to exist or not. So, and if I go to the bottom of this, you see 70 disclosures. Okay, so this tests about 70 different disclosures. So that's not quite correct because there are some disclosures that are tested and alternatives are tested. So they're never going to have both of those. They're going to have one or the other, or they could have neither. But anyway, the point is I don't have all of the disclosure rules that will test 100% of the entire Microsoft report. So this is a publicly available rules. So in my privately available set of rules, I'm doing better. So I said there were 70 disclosures. Okay, if you look at the Microsoft report, if you look at the networks, you notice that there are 128 networks. Okay, those are Experial networks. Some people call them groups. Okay. If you look at the components view here, there's also 128 components. A component is a network plus a table. So it just so happens that Microsoft always has one table, for example here, statement table, per network. So the document information has a table, the income statement has a table, comprehensive income has one table, and all the way through every one of these networks. So you have the same number of networks and components. So this block view, what you're looking at is the sets of information that exist in the report. So there are 194 blocks in the Microsoft report, 194 sets of information. So what I mean by a set of information, so here you see the document information. That's one set of information. It's a set or a hierarchy, as I used to call it. I'm now calling it a set. It's just a flat list of concepts. There's no numeric relations or anything. Okay, as contrast to the net income roll-up, this is a roll-up because there's the total of the roll-up, and there are all the things that contribute to that total, and that is a disclosure. There's another disclosure on the income statement. Here it's a single line item, cash dividends declared per common share. There's another disclosure, earnings per share, basic and diluted. And one final for the income statement, the weighted average shares outstanding, basic and diluted. So if you go to the component view, you can see this better. You see the income statement. There's the entire set, there's all the information on the income statement. Here's the net income roll-up. You see this stuff at the bottom went away. Here's the cash dividends declared per common share. There's the earnings per share information, and there's the weighted average share information. And you click there and you see all of it again. So again, the point is this block view shows the information by what was disclosed. And there's 194 pieces of information or sets of information. So if I go to the disclosure mechanics result here, and then go to the bottom, rather than having 70, I have 121 disclosures. So I said there's 194 sets of information, but I only have 121 disclosures. Well, many times there are, well, not many, commonly, you have a level 3 text block and you have a level 4 detailed disclosure. So each of these is two. This is two disclosures. So basically, every time you see an entry in this column where you have two entries, you count this twice instead of once. So I actually went through and I reconciled all the blocks that existed to all the disclosures that I'm testing, and there's a difference of about 10. So I'm not totally sure that I have it 100% correct yet. But so here's a reason for 2. So here I'm finding this level 3. Yeah, that's a level 3 text block. That's it right there. But I'm not finding the level 4 detail. The reason is Microsoft used an extension concept for this, and I'm trying to find out what the disclosure is, and I can't find out what it is if Microsoft created an extension concept. So if Microsoft creates an extension concept for level 4 detail, I can't find what the information is. I can get to the information, but I can't tell you what it is because I don't have the pattern documented in the disclosure mechanics rules. Another reason that I'm missing some items is that, let's see, if you look here, let's see where, there you go. Look for the level 2 policies. So Microsoft, again, creates extension concepts for like 2 or 3 policies. So I can't find those either. And that is part of the 10 that are missing. So the point is, I'm trying to find 100% of the information and know what that information is because I have rules that describe the disclosure and they tell me precisely what the disclosure is. So here, for example, let's say common stock outstanding roll forward. So here's a rule, the rule that explains what this disclosure looks like. There's not much there. It doesn't take much to uniquely identify the disclosure. Here's the line of reasoning that the software uses to find this, and it tells you the conclusion that it reached. It did find it, and it's consistent with what was expected. And if I click right here, it takes me to the level 4 detail. So common stock shares outstanding. Or if I go to this column and click here, it takes me to the level 3 version of this disclosure. So why is this important? So this is important because what I'm telling you is that I can discover and know precisely what I'm looking at for 184 of the 194 disclosures in the Microsoft 10K. It's not that I can get to it. I can get to it and I know exactly what it is because the rules explain exactly what it is. The second thing is I can tell you the reason why the 10 that I can't find are missing. I can give you a specific reason for each one. So what does that mean? So that means that I have control over the report. I can test all 194 of these disclosures and make sure that the framework of the disclosure is exactly consistent with what one would expect for that disclosure. So I can't tell you everything about the disclosure because, so for example, in the balance sheet, I'm not looking at each individual line item. I'm looking at the total for assets and the total for liabilities and equity and a few other things. And I can look for more, but all I'm trying to do is look for enough so that I can uniquely describe the disclosure. So I'm not sure that that's exactly the way that I want to do this in the future, but it does work to achieve what it is that I'm trying to achieve. So I'm going to leave it at that for now.